right, by a quick show of hands, how many of you have ever run up a down escalator? All right, good, that's more than half. I was kind of worried that a lot of you would have had deprived childhoods and would have missed out on that. So good job, everybody. The basic concept is you're working towards the top, you're working and you're fighting a downward trend. Because if you don't do anything, things will get worse. This has been my experience in life. If you're not trying to make positive changes, a bunch of small, unexpected negative changes will show up. So if you put in the minimal amount of effort, like a lot of us enjoy doing, you'll stay in about the same place. The only way to improve is to work hard and stay doing that. Now, keep this in the back of your mind. We're going to get to it later. I'm a mechanical engineering student here at Kettering, and I've wanted to be an engineer for as long as I can remember. There was this one time I was 5 or 6 where I hooked up a sit and spin to an exercise machine. So whenever someone ran on the machine, it caused the sit and spin to spin around on its own. The idea being I could sit on it, and I'd spin, and I wouldn't have to do any work. The problem is it didn't actually work with someone sitting on it. There's just too much weight. But I didn't let that stop me. I was hooked. So now whenever somebody asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'd have an answer. And a lot of people ask you that question as a small child. It's sort of like an early life crisis, and I had that taken care of. All I had to do was make it happen. So I decided to focus on math and science related things because 1, I enjoyed them, and 2, I figured I might as well devote more time to it because I was going to use it for the rest of my life. We as a society also focus. We collaborate among experts because there's just way too much knowledge out there for one person or one group of people to handle it all. And as we explore a subject more and more and go deeper and deeper into it, our specialization has to keep up with it because if it doesn't, we can't really explore it very well. Now, this example, the illustrated guide to a PhD, shows very well the topic of focus. That circle contains all of human knowledge. After elementary school, you know a little bit. After high school, you know a bit more. Your bachelor's degree gives you a specialty which is then deepened with a master's degree. Then you read research papers to take you to the very edge of human knowledge. And once at that boundary, you focus. And then you push and you push and you push until one day it gives way. That dent you've made is called a PhD. Of course, your world looks a little bit different to you now. So make sure to not lose sight of the bigger picture. Keep on pushing. I'd like to draw your attention to 2 important features of this. The first is why it's important to focus. Because at the boundary, all of our attention is narrowly focused on a very small area and can have a bigger impact than if we applied it to a broader area. So focus is very important. And the second feature is pretty obvious, is the huge disconnect between our zoomed-in view of the world and then the zoomed-out view of the world. And we can get caught up in what we think the world is and forget that there's people all over the place pushing in their own different directions. And we don't really work with them because we say, oh, they're a different field. There's nothing that they can share with me or that I can share with them that'll benefit either of us, so we'll leave each other alone. Kind of like this. This is 3 different systems from 3 different disciplines. The first is electrical. It's an inductor L, a resistor R, and a capacitor C wired together in series. It's called an LRC series circuit. The second is mechanical. It's a mass hanging from a spring with a damper of some kind. This could be a shock absorber, it could be friction, it could be air resistance, something like that. And the third is hydraulic. It's a long, thin pipe with a valve and then a tank open to the atmosphere. Well, they do look very different, but an inductor resists a change in flow, a mass resists a change in velocity, and the long, thin pipe makes the fluid resist a change in flow. Now, those systems, those elements at least, are the same. The systems are the same. In fact, these 3 systems are identical. All that changes is the names that we assign things. And a lot of systems can be modeled with the mass spring damper, like the temperature controls in your house. But focusing solely on our own discipline, we would have missed something like that. In my own life, I also branched out. On a whim in high school, I tried out for my first play and was hooked on theater ever since. And then I found myself looking not just at engineering stuff that I still enjoyed, but also on communication and personal skills. And I made a very important discovery about myself. I really like meeting new people, but I would have missed that if I focused solely on engineering like I planned. I was fine with my comfort zone. That's where I was. I was comfortable. Why would you plan on being uncomfortable? That just doesn't make much sense. And it's an attitude a lot of us take. Which reminds me of a story I once heard. You're walking through the woods, and you come to a man who's neck deep in a cesspool. You ask if there's anything you can do to help. He looks up at you and says, "Oh, you want to help? Don't make any waves." So his idea of help is very different than yours. And he's very willing to sacrifice the long-term progress, like getting out of the cesspool, for the short-term comfort of staying where he is. He, like in the PhD example, got caught up in his world and lost perspective. In this case, the perspective is he just stopped on the down escalator of life. And we can't do that. We always have to look to the top and work towards it. I'm not saying you can't be happy with where you are today, but where you are now and where you are 5 years from now shouldn't be the same point, because if they are, you just wasted 5 years of your life. So go out and try something new. See how it connects to what you already know. The very worst case is you hate it, and then you never have to touch it ever again. But who knows? You might make an important discovery about yourself that defines you for the rest of your life, but you would have missed it. Just remember, life is going up a down escalator. Don't get too tired, and definitely don't trip. Thank you.